One thing we haven't discussed yet is the impact that funding can have on admission. And yes, at some schools, your ability to pay for your education will have an effect on your admission decision. When it comes to funding in the admission evaluation, there are two types of schools: need blind and need aware. As the name indicates, need blind schools do not pay attention to your ability to pay for your education when they review your application for admission. At need blind schools, it doesn't matter if you have $10 or $10 million. Your admission is based on the other factors we discussed, not on finances. On the other side are the need-aware schools. A need-aware school does consider your ability to pay for your education as part of the admission decision. So when a need-aware school is evaluating you for admission, your finances can be included along with the other factors we discussed. Why? Well, as you have seen, schools have a limited amount of money to fund international students. Whether it's tens of millions of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars, no school has an infinite pool of financial aid funds. During the admission process, schools must decide which students are going to receive those finite or limited funds. Will they give a couple of students lots of money? Or will they give many students a little money? Will they do some combination of both? In some cases, if a school cannot meet your financial need, they will not be able to offer you admission, even though you are qualified. Please understand that schools do not like denying qualified applicants, but unfortunately, sometimes it is necessary. Again, it is important to understand a school's policy specifically for international students. Some schools are need blind for U.S. students, but need aware for international students. Ultimately, there are a few need blind schools for international students, which is where another popular myth enters the picture. Many say that U.S. schools only want international students who can pay the cost of attendance, so-called rich students who can bring money to the school. As we discussed, some schools do not or cannot offer financial aid to international students. Other schools have set aside a combined $900 million to fund international students. But even that is not enough to fund all of the qualified students who would like to study in the U.S. U.S. schools do not seek students who can pay the cost of attendance, but students that can pay the cost of attendance are able to avoid a major obstacle to studying in the U.S. When a school offers a student financial aid, they are planning to fund that student for the 4-year duration of their studies. Providing that much money over that much time can have complications. What if a student needs more funding after a year or two? What if the global financial changes devalue a student's home currency, putting stress on the student and their family? Many schools are happy to face these challenges. But as a student, you must understand that there is a limit to what those schools can handle. Remember that students who can pay for their own studies are not accepted because of their money. They have to go through the same process and meet the same admission requirements that other students must meet. But they have one less obstacle to navigate. Now, let's take a deep breath and look at where we are. As I mentioned in an earlier lecture, the information presented here includes only the basics of financial aid for international students. At this point, you should understand the important terms related to financial aid, as well as how funding can impact your admission to U.S. colleges or universities. That should help you build a list of basic questions depending on your personal situation. For example, you might ask, what is the cost of attendance for international students? How much of that cost of attendance will a school fund through financial aid? Does the school offer need-based aid, merit-based aid, both or neither to international students? Do international students have to apply for financial aid? If so, how? Is the school need-blind or need-aware for international admission? Now that you understand the basics of financial aid, it is up to you to use this understanding to do your research. Now, research is not emailing schools to tell them that you need funding or asking schools for scholarships. Research is taking time to review school websites to understand their policies and processes related to funding for international students. Research is looking for funding opportunities both from schools as well as other sources. Be prepared. Some of what you find might disappoint you at first, but don't let that stop you. There are hundreds of millions of dollars of funding out there. The more you research, the more you plan, the more likely you are to find options.